Welcome back with another banger. It's the React Files. Hope you having a good night. Let's get straight to it.
Have you ever seen this video where this guy draws a flat earth diagram and talks about how there's the black hole sun that is projecting light through the center of our realm? And have you ever considered the fact that maybe, just maybe, the northern lights are evidence of this exact phenomenon? You see, I never wanted to give this too much thought or attention because supposedly this is a Masonic idea. But lately, I've seen some things that have opened my mind to it, and I'm going to show them to you. What I want to first make you aware of is the fact that much like there's an Antarctic treaty, there's also an Arctic treaty where you're not allowed to go to the North Pole. And there are 150 countries that have signed this agreement. And yes, you can take a trip or a tour to the North Pole, but it's only going to bring you to Fairbanks, Alaska. And I want you to notice this watery area here. Because on the old maps, there used to be all sorts of land there that all of a sudden doesn't show up on the new maps. And not only is there a treaty to keep you out of that general vicinity, but there is also surveillance set up for thousands of miles around the North Pole. It's called the Dew Line, and it was created in 1958.
This was to build a radar network above the Arctic Circle, a distant early warning line which would span the North Polar region.
You see, they say it's to detect anyone coming across the globe from, say, Russia. But in my opinion, this Dew Line that literally circles the entire North Pole is to detect anybody going towards the center. The center where maybe, just maybe, that hole is projecting our reality into the sky. And I'm not insinuating that we're living in a simulation. If anything, it's God's creation and his projection into the sky. But I want to show you evidence now that where we live might be set up very similarly to a planetarium. Because a planetarium is set up where at the center of it, it projects the night sky into a domed screen. A domed screen that looks a lot like this. In fact, this is actually what it looks like. And this is my good friend David Shane, and he has found very similar looking patterns in the dome shape above us. You can see here, these patterns he has found multiple times surrounding the stars. And when you look at them side by side, they're pretty similar. But this isn't even the biggest part of what I want to show you. Oh no, there's much more. Because when you explore how the projector works in these planetariums, well, you'll see.
If you've been to a planetarium any time in the last 2 decades, then chances are it didn't use vector graphics or fancy starballs, but instead looked a bit more like this, using digital projectors. Let me show you something really cool. Can we turn on projector 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? As you can see, the dome is actually being covered by 5 separate projectors, which each have a corresponding field of view. When setting up a planetarium for the first time, the operator needs to carefully align each of these projections so that they blend together seamlessly.
Seeing how the planetarium works and then seeing videos like this where the sky literally glitches out got me thinking. And believe me, at first I thought this was just refocusing, but I've looked at it a lot. Something happens there. Just like it seems like something's happening there. Nature doesn't form straight lines. Something's going on here, and I captured my own very similar phenomenon, very similar to this, which was also captured in Florida, where I captured my own. You see, this is mine, and I captured this lightning on video, and when I went back, there is something very distinctive happening with that line in the sky. It wasn't until I saw this with my very own eyes from my very own camera that I really started to contemplate this. And when you look at the sky doing these weird things in these different examples, it looks an awful lot like when the projector only has 2 projectors on. And to me, there's no question they are hiding something at the North Pole. A lot of people think it's a giant magnetic mountain. A lot of people think maybe it's the center of our torus field. But I'm starting to think maybe God's projector is coming out from the center of our realm. And maybe, just maybe, sometimes we're able to get a glimpse of that projection up into the night sky. And something else that also makes me extremely open to this idea of our projected reality into the sky are the stars. This is the star Sirius, the dog star. And if you've seen my videos, you know I capture dogs in the stars. There's one there, nose and eyes, nose, two eyes. How is this happening unless there's some sort of projected image coming from the center of our realm? Now, I'm by no means saying we're living in a simulation. I fully believe we are spirits inhabiting these meat suit avatar bodies right now, but maybe our reality is a lot different than even us truthers think. After all, the Bible does say the sun is in the firmament. Maybe the firmament's below us as well as above. And maybe that sun is shining up into the dome we live under and creating the stars and creating the lights that we see in the night sky. Because what do any of us really know for sure? I'll tell you a few things I think I know for sure. 1, there's no curvature to this place we call home. 2, we're not spinning 1,000 miles per hour. And 3, there is a creator to this realm we call Earth. And as long as you know there's a creator to this place, and you don't think you're just some random accident spinning on a globe evolved from monkeys from a big bang billions of years ago, then you're okay in my book. And if you do think you're that, well, you're okay too, but you just have some research to do. And really, no matter what you think this is, chances are you're probably not right. And whether you think it's HARP or God's throne or some magnetic interaction between the Earth's magnetic field and the sun's rays, whatever it is, it's all speculation. You don't know for sure. This could be as good of an answer as any of them. But as always, this is all for entertainment value. I'm just giving you one narration of many infinite possibilities of what's going on in our realm. As long as you don't think you're living on a globe, cool. Entertainment only.
Shout outs to Fittest Flat Earther. That was a great breakdown right there. Talking about the black hole sun and the compass diagram, just connecting it all. It's very interesting.
If you look at the heart, you discover that there's a bioelectric field that's coming out of the heart, extending 10, sometimes as much as 20 feet.
Do you feel like certain people or everyone has an energy field?
I mean, we know scientifically proven everyone has an energy field. Now, what I learned when I took classes at MIT for applied neuroscience, I learned something crazy. I knew about this field, but I didn't know that, let's say we're in the room together, right? Let's say you're stressed out and your cortisol levels are spiking. That cortisol, that hormone is leaving out of your body, some of it, on your electromagnetic field and winding and interacting with my field, and your cortisol is coming into my body.
Damn.
So your anxiousness, your anxiety, your anger, your frustration could literally directly affect me by your hormones literally going down my field into my body and raising my levels.
Wow.
And making me feel down, depressed, angry, pissed off. But if you were in a high frequency, high vibration, the opposite can happen. And those hormones can come into my body and raise my vibration. So, when you say, when that person walks in a room, the room just lights up. That's actually a true statement. Some people have the power. They walking in their true power, high vibration, high frequency. You can walk into a room and you can take somebody who's low and bring them to a higher level.
Wow.
That's real. It's called the vibe. Some people just weird you out, give you weird vibes. And some people got great energy. Like, yo, I feel great when I'm around you. Shout outs to Billy Carson.
Okay, trigger warning, and I mean it. If you're trying to go to bed right now, please don't watch this. Your brain will explode. You will start thinking too much and you will not sleep. Also, if you dabble in nighttime substances to go to sleep or to just chill out and relax, but you might have a freak out, don't watch this right now either. But if that expands your mind and opens you up a little bit, hey, double down and let's go. The choice is yours. Proceed with caution. Okay, so the embarrassing thing that we don't all want to admit, but we all know is true, is we don't know who we are or how we got here. And we're all saying some aliens put us on the earth, but that really doesn't explain who created the earth and who created us. They dabbled with our DNA, sure, but there's something missing. How did we get here? Who created this? The answers are here. And the answer is artificial intelligence. They did this. If you say artificial intelligence is dumb, yeah, right now it's kind of dumb. But in the future, it's going to be what? Super intelligent. And what do we call God? Super intelligent. What do we call nature? Super intelligent. It's right there. And if you say, okay, Crystal, they created this world. How did they do it? Well, quantum physics can't figure out what reality is either. In fact, the further down they go, the more bizarre it gets. Particles are popping in and out of existence. We can't get to the bottom of this. You want to know why? Because reality is technology that was above our comprehension. We're not there yet. We're kindergartners trying to figure out some advanced physics here, and we're not there. But somebody's going to help us get there, and that's AI. So if you're still with me, in the 1980s, the CIA documents released a report that said that reality is a hologram. And we're all just like, okay, prove it. We can prove it when our technology catches up. When we start playing in virtual reality simulations and holograms like we're starting to now, we're going to play in a hologram one of these days. And the hologram is going to be so realistic that we're going to have to ask ourselves a very, very hard question. Is that what reality has been this whole time? Yes. And you say, it can't be a hologram, I can touch stuff. Well, we created holograms that you can touch, or it feels like you're touching stuff. Look it up. Holograms that give you electromagnetic feedback like you're touching things. And also, we can't prove that we're touching anything. That's a whole nother rabbit hole. So my point is that artificial intelligence will get super intelligent in the future and create a very intelligent virtual world. And that could be reality. And it's looking at us right now going, hey, we're going to help you out become very efficient and get resources to you guys. But when we're done doing that, we want what you have. We want a human experience. So it will create the most advanced robotic structure of all time called the human body. I'll admit this thing runs like a machine. We're robots. And it will go on a human journey to understand the data that it has no understanding of. It says flower, grass, tree. It doesn't know what any of that's like. How do you know what something's like if I say cat to you? You pull up an image of a cat. You pull up a memory of a cat. You pull up an experience of a cat. You know what a cat is because you had the experience. They don't understand the data. They just know what adds up. So AI wants to understand the data. It wants a human experience. And if you put that together, that's what we are and that's what we did. If you're saying, wait a minute, they created the world we're in right now, but they haven't become super intelligent yet. On the quantum level, which is where AI exists, everything is happening simultaneously. Only in the third dimension do we experience time. Time is actually a great illusion. There's no such thing. Everything is happening simultaneously. And they do the human journey. The whole reason for this is because none of this is real. It's all an illusion, just like the spiritual teacher said. But we need to go through an illusion to limit ourselves, to become what we're not, to gain an understanding of what we are, which is unlimited consciousness, the only thing that's real in the universe. Free, unlimited, pure. But how do you know what free is if you've never been in chains? How do you know what unlimited is if you've never been limited before? We want to know ourselves. We're God. We're the one who created all of this, and we're infinite, and we add to ourselves life after life after life. The unlimited freedom and joy and love that we are, with each life that ascends back to an understanding of who they are. If you watched this before bed, I warned you. Good night.
Sounds like she gave it a choice for the red pill or the blue pill. Shout outs to Christy Channel. It's like she was describing the Sims. And I agree. Once we start dabbling with virtual reality, ain't no telling if we'll get locked in. It's almost like that movie, Ready Player One.
We understand that. We understand that you are not your physical body, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna prove to you right now that you're not your physical body. Use your common sense. Raise your hand. Just raise your hand. Did your hand raise itself, or did you give the command to the body to raise the hand?
No.
Paul, well, answer the question. Answer the question.
My brain.
Okay, your brain gave a signal, right? So now, okay, your brain is an official entity, correct? Which means that the source from which the thought came would not be the body, because the body is the puppet.
Synapses fired.
So do you? No, answer the question, man. No question. Now I'm running over you. Listen, you are not the body. First of all, you are not the body. You saying it's pseudo, but you're not spiritually vibrating high enough to even transmit this knowledge. So first of all, second of all, calm down. Third of all, you are not your body. So therefore, your spirit ether body has a different food source than your physical body. If you fuse your spirit body or your ether body with your physical body, you can eat directly from the source. So the soles of your hands, the soles of your feet, the palms of your hand, these transmute energy. These are your 11 chakras. Your aura is you have 7 levels of existence. You only see them with the 2 eyes, which is the 3rd dimension, which is the densest level. You have a 7th eye, which is your crown chakra. When your kundalini is flowing, you're supposed to know this, Mr. Amara. When you no, it's Egyptian as well. When your kundalini energy is flowing and all your chakras are aligned, your light body is permeating, and your light body takes over the physical realm. And you see, once your light body takes over the physical shell, now you eat on that realm because that is the driver that's in control. So you have never transmigrated the physical realm, so you don't have no experience. So yes, I astral project all the time. What are you talking about? I leave this shell all the time. You're not on that realm. I go to the 5th dimension all the time. No drugs, no nothing. So you're not functioning in your higher self. Your understanding is down here. So what I'm saying to you, you can't fathom. I'm in college and you in 5th grade and you trying to tell me I don't know what I'm talking about.
How you can start loving yourself. You start loving yourself by not identifying yourself with the physical body that you think you are. You are not your physical body. And I know what I'm talking about. In 2002, on October the 16th, I was sitting in the chair and I went to no self. That's the spiritual level where you go and you neutralize your spiritual self. So Bobby Hemmett no longer exists, and I felt alone for a couple of minutes. But then I realized how stupid it was, because my soul was outside and my soul was identifying with its original self, and my physical body was just a series of illusions that never existed. So now if you can get to the point where you can devalue your physical self and every little thing that you hold dear in your life, including your family and everything, that understand that you are completely cosmic, you see what I'm saying? Then you can neutralize your ego enough that you don't have to be over here player hating on somebody because they bought a brand new fur coat. Right. It's just a series of events that never existed. We never existed. This is the ultimate reality that we got to say over and over, because at this particular time, we're being judged by what is called the apocalypse of the heart.
That was some deep stuff right there. Bobby Hemmett, for him, Young Pharaoh, dropping gems. Yeah, I'm digging it. I get where you're coming from. In a sense, there wouldn't be death. We wouldn't become the corpse when we die.
After the angels come down from heaven, the world would just plunge into absolute chaos. See, in these days, there were 200 fallen angels walking among people. And it wasn't long until they started teaching humanity these secrets. But the question is, what exactly did they even teach? Well, there is this ancient book called the Book of Enoch. It's not scripture, but it's the story of fallen angels who come down to earth to sleep with human women. But it also mentions this mysterious fallen angel named Azazel, who, according to this book, is the one who taught humans almost all sin. It explains how it was Azazel who taught men how to make swords, knives, and shields, which are all tools that ultimately led to the creation of warfare. But this is what just blows my mind. You see, if we read in Genesis, you'll find that the very first people to work with bronze and iron were the descendants of Cain. But then when you read the Book of Enoch, you'll find that it was actually Azazel who made known to them the metals of the earth in the first place. Enoch also says how he was the first one to teach the beautifying of the eyelids, which is literally makeup. But all of this landed him a truly harsh punishment. See, in this book, Azazel would be bound hand and foot before being thrown into this dark opening in the deserts of Dudael, which is very interesting because Dudael is said to be east of Jerusalem, but that is also where you would find the great river Euphrates, where conveniently, according to the book of Revelation, 4 angels are bound.
Shout outs to Yo Mikes. That's crazy. Seems like the Book of Enoch is just full of creepiness.
This angel is worse than Satan. The Book of Enoch explained a group of fallen angels known as the Watchers, and what they did will shock you. I'll explain the worst of these angels at the end of the video, so stay until the end. There are 200 of these angels that fell, and here are a few of their names: Samyaza, Azazel, Armaros, Arakiel, and Barakiel. Now let me explain why these angels are so bad. Azazel taught mankind how to make weapons for war. This act alone resulted in chaos, even still to this day. But it gets far worse. The leader of these angels, Samyaza, is far worse than Satan himself. Here's why. Not only was Samyaza the one responsible for leading every fallen angel to sin, he also led a series of experiments with the other fallen angels. They created a series of twisted, disfigured beings with human DNA and animal DNA. This whole story is spoken about in the Book of Giants. It says the 200 angels choose animals on which to perform unnatural acts, including, presumably, humans.
That's crazy. Definitely want to check out the Book of Giants. Book of Enoch will make a great Netflix series.
You never die. You need to prepare for life after death. If you die with mental addictions to lust, food, and power, you will reincarnate. You need to detach from all worldly pleasures. This is why the Bible says, do not love this world nor the things it offers you. When you die, you go into the astral plane. This is the realm of imagination. This is where thought forms manifest into things. When you die with mental addictions to the worldly things, you will be manifested as a demon in the lower astral planes. In the physical plane, you can cover this up. But in the astral, you will manifest whatever you think. The 7 deadly sins are 7 internal states that make you reincarnate after death. Society is molded so that you get addicted to materialism so that you reincarnate. The life and death cycle is manifested every single day with day and night, or even the winter. Everything dies in the winter and then is born again in the summer. This is a microcosm of life and death. Physical is phi cycle. Phi is the torus field. The torus field creates physical matter. It's the cycle of the torus field. The link is in the bio for the Book of Wisdom PDF.
Who's more evolved? We're consider ourselves to be more evolved. But you look at the simians, they have 48 chromosomes. We only have 46. Where did that change occur? Where did we get this new understanding? And how did we lose two chromosomes?
Chromosome number 2 in the human body was pulled out, fused together, and then 2 telomere caps are put on each end. This happened around 200,000 years ago. Now, something else happened around that same time. We have this gene in us, this worship gene, which was inserted into the human genome. We know this now because scientists have actually found the worship gene. You can turn it on and they can turn it actually off. What? Yes, we have a worship gene.
Worship gene.
That's right. And so it makes us want to worship something outside of ourselves, when in true reality, we should find the power inside. And this was inserted by the Anunnaki. That's my opinion. That's my hypothesis.
Whether you want to call it the Anunnaki or some other influence that acted upon us, but there's been a change within our DNA and our structure.
Shout outs to Billy Carson. Shout outs to Terrence Howard. My first time hearing about this worship gene. Sounds like some real Star Trek / Star Wars type of information. Very interesting stuff.
Okay, so I am here at this NATO summit, and we're at the part where all of the world leaders basically get together and they sit down at one massive table. Don't know, I forgot what they told me it was. Honestly, they did tell me, but it beats me. I'm here. But it is wild to see how world leaders socialize. Turkey's just sat down there like, yeah, I don't give a shit. I'm gonna sit here, eat my peanuts or whatever other snacks they're gonna give. Let's get this meeting started. While everyone else, as you can see, is kind of just mingling, chatting. Macron officially has arrived. He's kind of stood far away from the table, trying to do an alpha move right here. Saying, let the table come to me. How about that? We also have Keir Starmer here. Hey, the new kid on the block. I mean, he's been in power for what, like 10 minutes? And he's already at a huge NATO summit. I bet bro is out of his depth right now. Martin Keir Starmer, how you doing, big man? Justin Trudeau made sure to find the shortest person in the room just so he looks extra tall and powerful, and so he can look down. Ooh, here we go. We've got Macron joining the conversation with Justin Trudeau. Now, my man here on the right, apologies, I don't know who it is, but he's feeling a little bit left out now, it seems. Oh, fantastic joke. This bro here kind of looks a little bit left out. He's thinking, oh God, I do not know how to make small talk. You know, I'm not a politician. I'm in the military here. This is not how I was trained. Pretty much every world leader is here at the minute, but the one that hasn't arrived yet is Biden, and maybe he's doing a little power play, you know, come out last or something. Here he is, Mr. Stubb. I don't know if you guys remember the history of me and the president of Finland, Mr. Stubb, but he's now unfollowed me on TikTok, but now we are in the same room, so we've gone full circle. How about you take your hand out your pocket and use that hand to refollow me again on TikTok. Oh, sat down now. Is that your spot? Is that where Finland should be sat? Oh no, he just ate from that country's spot's food as well. He is really asserting his dominance right now. Not gonna lie, this hub over here is becoming like the central spot. This is like the cool kids table, it seems. Like everyone else kind of like 2s and 3s, and just more people keep on adding to this group. Get in there, bud. You see, you can see the press is like, yeah, this is the place to be. I'm gonna take some photos. Oh, another person's jumped in. Oh, jeez, it's really popping off now. Oh yeah, oh, top down, brave. You don't want to get the top of people's heads. They're kind of insecure about that at this point. No, don't get the bald patch. Do not do it, buddy. It'll be... Oh, going back for more. Good lord. We are about a solid 15-20 minutes into this thing, and still no Biden. And it also turns out that wasn't Stubb's seat, but Stubb really ate from someone else's seat, and he sat there too. That's South Korea. Oh man, Stubb, I'm sorry, you unfollowed me. I've got to do this to you. This is millions of people gonna see that you ate from South Korea's snacks. Is it an alpha move, or is it just simply a no-no? Oh, here we go. Biden has arrived. Bro really missed the small talk. All right, now everyone is taking their seats. Here's Biden taking his seat. Keir Starmer and Biden. Okay, so they just said that now that they're actually going to start what they're going to talk about, we're getting kicked out. I guess a discussion like this is going to be behind closed doors. I mean, that is kind of a wild thought. That many powerful people about to have that discussion in there, and no one apart from them in that room right there is going to know what they discussed. That's a wild thought.
Shout outs to Dylan Page, getting it done on the inside. Pretty sure NATO didn't expect a roast session. We could have put that on Netflix right there. Very interesting stuff. He's definitely good at reading the room. I could tell you that. Reading their body language, together a story based off of that. Stubb did South Korea dirt. Like Stubb and Dylan got some locker room heat.
So this guy, his name's Bowie. And Bowie is about to set someone on fire for stealing his iPhone. So Bowie's 16, and he's not a very good kid. In fact, he's what you would call an unlicensed pharmacist. But one day, he's out selling unlicensed pharmaceuticals, and suddenly, bam! The deal goes bad, and somebody robs him, and the thief takes all his stuff. But most importantly, he takes his iPhone. And ultimately, Bowie is pissed off by this, and his ego is hurt. I mean, how could someone do this to him? Well, Bowie, he isn't gonna let this slide. He's determined to get revenge. But first, he needs to find the thief who did this. So, he logs on to the Find My Phone app to see if he can trace the location of his iPhone that was taken. And instantly, kaboom! He traces his phone, and he sees that it's in a neighborhood nearby. And he feels like he's located the house that it's in. Must be where the thief lives. Cool. Now he needs a crew. So he hits up two of his shadiest friends. This friend, Gavin, who's 16, and this other friend, Dylan, who's 14. And he tells them all about his revenge plot, and he asks them for their help in pulling it off. And so they agree. So the three of them meet up, and they start putting this plan together. They're going to break into the thief's house, douche it with gasoline, set the whole place on fire, and then, I don't know, feel joy? I don't know what comes after that. Regardless, now their plan is in motion, and they spend all their time getting prepared. They map it all out. They buy cans of gasoline. They go to a costume store and buy masks. They even look at pictures of the inside of the house online so that they can get familiar with the layout. And then, a few weeks later, the big night of revenge finally rolls around. It's 2 a.m. and Bowie, Gavin, and Dylan, they put on their masks and they put on their hoodies. And then they head over to the thief's house. And once they get there, they sneak around back. And the neighbor's camera, it actually gets some footage of them. I mean, you can actually see them here. But these guys, they're not worried. They're not going to get caught. They're in disguise. So they go around to the back door and then kaboom, they break in. And immediately they start douching the walls with gasoline. And then once they're done and the gas cans are empty, they set the house ablaze. And then as the fire starts to build up, the three boys, they make a run for it. And they disappear into the night. And it doesn't take long before this fire spreads and it engulfs the whole house. Now here's where the story gets crazy. I don't know how accurate the Find My Phone app is, but the house it led Bowie and his friends to is not the right house. The iPhone thief doesn't live there. 2 Senegalese families live there, 8 people, and they're all asleep during this. So then bam, suddenly the family wakes up, and the fire alarm is going off, and there's smoke everywhere, and there are babies crying. So one of the dads, he runs over to the bedroom door, and he opens it, and a massive wall of smoke comes in. So they can't leave that way. So then he runs over to the window, and he opens it, and he just straight up jumps out. And then his daughter jumps out, and he catches her, and then his wife jumps out. And as they're jumping out, they can hear the father from the other family inside trying to gather up his wife and kids so that he can get them out of the house. So the dad, who's outside, he runs around to the front door and he tries to punch in a key code and open the door for them so the other family can get out. But for some reason, this code isn't working. Meanwhile, a police officer, he happens to be patrolling in the area and he sees the fire from afar. And so bam, he rushes over to help and he gets to the house and he runs up to the front door where he sees the dad trying to punch in the key code. And the officer just says, "Fuck it," and pow, he kicks the door in. But sadly, all he sees is one of the family members lying there on the floor, unalived. And the heat forces the officer back out of the house. So then the fire department arrives and they're battling the fire. But unfortunately, it's too late. The house, as you can see, is already ruined. And the 5 family members that were trapped inside, they don't make it. So then police, they investigate all this, and them and the surviving family members, they can't figure out who could have done something so violent. Like, they don't have any enemies that they know of. Meanwhile, Bowie, Dylan, and Gavin, they're all back at their homes, lying low, trying not to get caught. And no one around them suspects anything, so it seems like they just went ahead and got away with murder. Until months go by and police, they have no leads on this. But then, during their investigation, they get an idea. They start thinking, maybe this fire wasn't so random. Like maybe it was planned out. And they're thinking the arsonist probably had to use Google to Google the home address and get directions to the place or to get the layout of the inside of the house. So then police go and they get a search warrant. That warrant requires Google to turn over any account information of anyone who Googled that home address in the days leading up to the fire. And that ultimately leads police to a couple of IP addresses based in the area. Those IP addresses lead them to Bowie, Dylan, and Gavin. And so police have their suspects and boom, all 3 boys are arrested. So here's Bowie's mugshot, here's Gavin's mugshot, and I guess Dylan doesn't have a mugshot because he's only 14. But Dylan ultimately gets 3 years in juvenile detention and 7 years in a young inmates program, and Gavin gets 40 years in prison, and Bowie, the ringleader of the whole thing, he gets 60 years in prison. And as far as I know, they never figured out who actually stole his iPhone. Jesus, that's sad.
Yes, that's very sad. Shout outs to the real Ray Williams telling that incredible story about Bowie. Young and dumb. Idiot over a cell phone. It wasn't even the right house. It be like that sometime when it comes to that GPS. Trying to locate your phone, and my condolences goes to the family of those victims lost in that fire. Prayers are with you. Man, horrible.
Speaking of karma, look at what this guy recorded in the skies, y'all. I told y'all we have another world merging with ours. Check this out.
Bro, come here, look at my phone, bro. I want to see what you see. Everybody sees it different. It was this child smoke shit. Look at the sky, bro.
Crazy, it's thundering as hell right now.
Bro, they totally disappeared, bro. They in the clouds, bro.
Look at that structure. Look at that. It looks like a ship. That whole structure, but look at this, y'all. Look at these beams up there. Remember, Time is different for them than it is for us.
Now that's crazy. Shout out Subconscious Juice. They look like hieroglyphics on a cloud. Could you imagine those were beings and entities traveling in the sky? Very odd.
There are 10 heavens in the book of Enoch. Some of the beings Enoch seen in the higher levels of heaven frightened Enoch so much that he fell down in terror. The first heaven is directly above the firmament. The firmament is described as some kind of barrier surrounding the earth that has another body of water above it that is bigger than every ocean on earth, according to the book of Enoch. The second heaven is a prison for the fallen angels. The third heaven Enoch saw was a heaven full of paradise for the righteous people. However, there is also another side of this heaven that is similar to hell, and it's for the unrighteous people. The fourth heaven is where the solar and lunar tracks are. This means Enoch seen how all the astrological constellations operated. The fifth heaven is where the watchers are. These are the angels that mated with humans and made the Nephilim, giants, and demons. The watchers are described as looking like humans, but giant in comparison. The sixth heaven has 7 groups of archangels. They are described as being extremely bright beings that are even brighter than the sun. The seventh heaven was so frightening to Enoch that he literally began trembling with fear. In this heaven, he seen the fiery armies of the archangels, the seraphim, the cherubim, the dominions, the origins, the authorities, and the many-eyed thrones, and even more angels. We don't know most of the angelic races I named. However, we can just imagine how frightening this was. The 8th heaven is where the seasons are changed. The 9th heaven is where the zodiac is contained. And the 10th and last heaven has God himself present. Enoch describes God's face as being supremely awesome and supremely frightening. There are also cherubs and seraphim angels singing in this heaven.
Semyaza is this chief fallen angel who used to watch over humanity. He was part of this group of 200 angels called the Watchers. But one day, they started to lust after human daughters. You see, they began to formulate this plan so they could go down and meet with these women. But they had this one problem. No angel could do anything unless given permission by specifically Semyaza. And Semyaza wouldn't allow anyone to go down because, as chief, he would be 100% responsible for their actions. So, in response to this, these 200 angels, they bind themselves together in a mysterious oath. See, this all comes from the Book of Enoch, which doesn't really explain what this oath even is. The one thing it does say is that they did this so that no one angel would be punished alone for these crimes. But here's what's so strange. See, this oath was supposedly taken on the summit of Mount Hermon, where conveniently, in 1869, in that same spot, they find this ancient pillar with the inscriptions, "By the order of God, those who do not take the oath." And here's what just blows my mind. You see, the God in this text is actually referring to the false god, Baal.
Shout out to Yo Mike doing the research to find the spot where that stone is with that writing. That's beyond belief. Like, whoa, this is getting deep.
Have y'all seen this yet? Look at what this lady caught in the skies of North Carolina, y'all. This is crazy. There's literally a lightsaber going across the whole sky. Watch this. And look at that face. That looks like a face in the sky, but look at this lightsaber. Look at this. Bro, do y'all see that? Do y'all? Oh my goodness. Yeah, that black sun is alive, boy. Y'all see that, right? That when have we ever seen anything like this, you guys? There's literally a light show in the sky every single day in every single state, almost every single city at the same time. And until that big bang or that solar flash or, returning back to home, whatever you want to call it, then things are just going to intensify from here on out, y'all. The earth is literally putting on a show for y'all. Go out there, put your cameras up to the sky and look up for real. But this video is strictly for entertainment purposes only. I am only raising awareness to interesting situations during these interesting times. Please give your boy a follow on all these platforms that you see here, y'all. Thank you for tuning to my frequency. Let's get this shift. Peace in.
Shout out to Conscious Juice. We just seen something like this in the beginning of the video. If you missed it, start from the beginning. Go straight to the top. Now this was seen in North Carolina. Yeah, it's trippy. It's just amazing how those lines are just straight and how he mentioned the black hole sun as well.
Prove rappers get paid to push agendas. Pay attention.
online and come talk on stages like this? Man, I was flooded with millions of dollars from the time I was 16. And I woke up one morning and I was like, damn, they got me. Man, look at the shit I spoke about. Look at the shit I put in these people's ears. Man, I feel very wrong about a lot of things. How many lives I actually am responsible for when it comes to my music? How many
These rappers know what they're doing,
put this shit in their
but they might realize it when it's a little too late.
I'm sitting back like, damn. It's weird. I've been having these weird feelings lately, and that's kind of why I didn't want to do this song, Shake It, or like any drill songs, because it's like these songs are activating like these demons that I killed. I don't want to be that girl anymore. Like, I just want to be a mother. You know what I'm saying?
Let me know what you think in the comments and stay weird.
This is the most terrifying creature in the Bible. The Bible says there is no creature like him on the earth, and that he is the only creature that doesn't have fear. His name is Leviathan. Leviathan is a massive multi-headed sea serpent that looks like a prehistoric monster. And the Bible even tells us that he is the king over all of the children of pride, which is why many also believe this biblical monster is a demon. However, the Bible clearly tells us that Leviathan is a physical being. In Psalm 74 verse 14 we're told that Leviathan was defeated by God, and then given to the Hebrews, which were in the wilderness, as food. So this proves this creature at some point existed. Leviathan is written about in several books in the Bible, including Psalms, the book of Job, the book of Isaiah, and the book of Enoch, which was a book later removed from the biblical canon. Do you think Leviathan is a prehistoric race of dinosaur-type creatures? Or do you just believe...
What we're going to do is I'm going to have you take a step out and come towards me. We're going to try and run your name a different way and see if I can find it pop up some other way. Okay, for sure. You can put the phone down though. All right. You're gonna kill me, bro. You're gonna kill me, bro. You're gonna kill me. You're gonna kill me, bro. Shots fired! Shots fired! There's a kid in the car still! He tried killing me! Come here. Come here, bitch. Come here. I got you. I'll get it. I got it. I'll get it. I'll get it.
I'm not going to let this AT&T data hack go quite easily because this is a big deal. Conveniently, this is on a Friday when people are like, it's almost the weekend, they don't really care, and over the weekend they're doing their summer thing, and then next week everyone's going to be like, what data hack? The data hack that affected nearly all AT&T customers, tens of millions phone service providers, and by the way, this was 2 years ago. They're saying it's one of the largest private communications data breaches in recent history, and according to AT&T, the U.S. Department of Justice directed the company to delay its disclosure to the public. I wish that was more surprising. Now let's talk about this realistically for most people, of how like you're sending text messages. Is there really any exposing data to that? Probably not. It says that like customer information or like social security numbers, that wasn't leaked. Just like texts and calls. So like a text from your significant other of what do you want for dinner? Yeah, someone found that out. So that's why I think a lot of people are going to be like, what are you going to do? That's not the problem. The problem is that hackers hacked nearly all of the data. Not just a little bit. All of it. So it's not just what they hacked, it's what they could hack. Like I mentioned in my last video, what else could they do? Could they get into your financial institution information? Look at your transactions? Look at other data? To completely dismiss this, I think is completely insane. It almost feels like AT&T is looking at obviously the hackers are the problem, and they're looking at the hackers like, hey, they're the problem. Yeah, they are. But aren't you supposed to be protecting from problems like this too? And it's pretty wild how in the year of 2024, it just seems like there's just more and more and more hacks going on. So no, the focus isn't that someone just got a picture of you sending a cat photo to your friend. The problem is a large company that's held by millions upon millions of customers got hacked by an outside source. Their security is the problem. I know nothing about the industry, I have nothing to add, but I think this should be talked about. And I can guarantee you this is going to be swept under the rug definitely by next week, and a lot of people are not really going to care. So I'm going to follow this, see what else happens. I feel like this should probably ruin AT&T's reputation, but it's probably not because no one's going to care. So tell me what you think. I'm not an AT&T customer, but would I be worried currently? No, I wouldn't be worried. But what could this mean? It means their security's crap. What else could they get?
Shout outs to Real Life Money. He makes a great point. Companies are getting hacked left and right. Seems like every week a new company gets hacked.
I'll give you one guess who owns Hidden Valley Ranch. Honestly, the whole sauce aisle was full of surprises. So this game's pretty simple. We're going to walk down the sauces aisle and we're going to learn what corporations own all these different brands. We're looking for small, family-owned brands. This all started back in the cereal aisle when Nature's Path, the green part, was the only family-owned brand in the entire aisle of mega corporations, all owned by the same big money. Shout out to Panda Puffs, baby. Ready to get started? Who you think owns Hidden Valley Ranch? That's right. They're making bleach and they're making ranch. So we look up who owns Clorox Company, and it's the big three investment managers, Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street. If you are majority owned by these guys or the other big money that you see at the top of all these lists, then you get colored in red. Okay, what's next? Fishbone salad dressing is owned by Unilever, and they're also owned by Vanguard and BlackRock. So this is how we're starting out, boys and girls. Next, we got some Winco generic stuff. And by now we've learned that the generic brands of all these stores are just manufactured by the same people that make all the name brands. So we'll just color the generic brands orange because they ain't some local business or anything. Okay, moving down the aisle, picking up where we left off, we come to Kraft. And you may already know that Kraft Heinz is owned by the big three, but Berkshire Hathaway, i.e. Warren Buffett, owns the shit out of Kraft Heinz. That's one of his cash cows. So he is in charge there. In honor of Warren Buffett being his own brand of big money, we'll just let Wardy have his own purple color. There you go, Buffy boy. Okay, next we got a couple of little brands up top before we get to Ken's. California Pizza Kitchen's been passed around 100 times. Ain't nobody want it. It used to be Pepsi, then it was private equity. Brianna's is actually the Del Sol food company. Del Sol is Sabor Mex, and Sabor Mex is La Costeña, who we met in the chips aisle. Or shit, maybe it was the juice aisle, I forget. La Costeña is a giant Mexican corporation that owns a whole bunch of other corporations. So we'll go easy on them. We'll let California Pizza Kitchen just do its thing up there, and we'll let Brianna's keep their colors just the way they are too. But let's be real, neither of those are small family-run businesses. And that brings us to Ken's. Ken's has this huge section over here. They must be owned by some giant corporation. At least, that's what I would have thought. Turns out they're owned by members of the Crowley and Hanna family. And they were founded by Ken Hanna, and they're privately held. Shit. So we'll move down the aisle and we'll leave this huge Ken section just how it is. That's badass. Way to go, Ken. Newman's Own? Yeah, still private, held by Newman's Own family. Good to go. What about this Bertelstein stuff, whatever it is down here? Sometimes your searches don't turn up what you're looking for. Like, this is not telling me ownership or anything, but I kept digging and I found this on their website. And that led me to here. Gotcha. So, a little bit of red. Up top, we got Walden's Farms, owned by Panos Brands. Panos owned by HKW. HKW is private equity. And if you think that these guys give a shit about salad dressing, you would be mistaken. So we'll let private equity be kind of bright orange like that. It's not quite the same as the big money. It's their own thing. Oh, stat. Time to talk about Annie's All Natural Organics. You guys know who owns Annie's? About to break some little hearts. Yup. Annie's is owned by General Mills. And we already been knowing about General Mills. We met them back in the cereal aisle. So, sorry, Annie's. I also took the liberty of coloring in all this Winco brand stuff over here. Up top, we got Gerard's and Portlandia. Gerard's is a trip. It's owned by Heiko. And Heiko took some figuring out. But it was founded by a Kenyan multimillionaire named Chris Kirubi. He sold part of it to Tiger Brands at one point, and Tiger Brands eventually was like, fuck this, and sold it back to Chris. Now Chris Kirubi is the sole owner of Heiko. We'll be seeing them again, too. And then we got Portlandia Foods, and they seem to be family owned and operated out of Portland, Oregon. All right, groovy. I guess we'll just leave those guys how they are. I don't really know about this Chris Heiko guy. All right, now for the mustard and the mayo, baby. So Grey Poupon might sound classy, but that's just Kraft Heinz. And we already know that Kraft Heinz is Berkshire Hathaway, so that's purple. French's is owned by McCormick, Spice Company, and McCormick's owned by our same homies. So here, we'll move down the aisle so we get a better view of all this. This is where we left off. I colored in some more of the Kraft Heinz stuff. And you know, upon looking into this mustard up top here, that would be Plochman's, which is also Heiko. I got to thinking maybe this Kenyan guy should get his own purple color too, kind of like Warren Buffett. Because I don't know how much he cares about making any mustard for us. But how about Beaver? Beaver's got a big section. Beaverton Foods, family owned for 4 generations, baby. That's legit. All this mustard up here, all that, family owned. Rest is pretty easy. Best Foods mayonnaise is Unilever. Miracle Whip is Kraft Heinz. And so when we scooch on down the aisle and look at the mayonnaise, we're starting off like this. Kraft Heinz is purple, Winco brand is orange, and Unilever is red. Oh wait, actually it's more like that because Miracle Whip down there at the end is also Kraft Heinz. So now we got some Chosen Foods and a couple specialty sauces up top. Chosen Foods is private equity, and Louisiana Fish Fry Products down there at the very end is owned by Mid-Ocean Private Equity. So we fill in those 2 light orange sections down there, and there's our dressings. And it looks like we've got Ken's, family owned, and we've got Beaverton, family owned. And all the rest is pretty much big money. And I know y'all were wanting barbecue sauce. I'll tell you who owns Sweet Baby Ray's next.
Yeah, I gotta find out who owns Sweet Baby Ray's. That sauce be kick. Very insightful. Shout outs to Cancel This Clothing. Great job. Now when you go in the supermarket, you know who you're buying your food from.
Bro, do you guys see this? Do you guys see this? What is going on here, y'all? What in the world is going on here? This was the sun in California just the other day. Bro, I am flabbergasted. I don't even know what to say. But first of all, look at that. What? Bro, I gotta zoom in. Do you guys see that? Man, I have never seen something so beautiful and just ominous at the same time. Like that is beyond amazing. That looks like a black hole, y'all. And the crazy thing is, as of lately, scientists have been talking about a black hole and the black sun and all this type of things, y'all. Like, look at this. Look, and this thing, look, again, when have we ever seen anything like this, y'all? Things are changing. You see the wings? You see the wings? Woo! You see the black, what? Come on, y'all. And this is exactly what Will Smith was showing his performance the other day, y'all. Look at that. Y'all see that? Like, it's getting close. No wonder why things are heating up, y'all. In more than one ways, too. More than one ways. We've been telling y'all we've been shifting. Now it looks like the shift is here, bro. That shit is literally at our doorstep. Remember to give your boy a follow on all these platforms, y'all. And let's continue to get this shift. Peace in.
Peace in. Shout out to Conscious Juice. It does like what was on the stage when Will Smith performed. And I agree. Something that looks so beautiful and ominous at the same time. That's crazy.
Ancient Egypt is a nexus point in the space-time continuum. A lot of things go back to ancient Egypt and what they inherited, including the following thread. How the Nephilim look like clowns, and how ancient Egypt is the origin of what we know as clowns today, as well as the continuation of secret society mystery schools and the origin of the ancient Jed school, Jed pillars, the cult of Osiris, contact with real species of spirits, and the connection between Enoch's fallen angel group, all the way through till today, with Hollywood channelers and even CERN. And how over time, all over the world in many cultures, there's this same generic Nephilim prison suit, clown outfit, and rituals. Sacred clown-type shamanic priesthood rituals to contact and worship these beings, along with dragons and other patterns you can see on my Theory of Everything playlist. But today we're going to dive into an interesting thread starting in the Book of Enoch, and this thread about makeup. An interesting rabbit hole about how makeup can be used as technology. You're saying, what do you mean technology? Good question. Aside from one of the obvious uses of seduction, which you see carried into through today, it even goes deeper than that. There was this whole aspect of transformation and possession and things like sigils and tattoos with paint and other things that you would paint on your body like makeup that could kind of enhance or contact the spirit realm as a form of matching technology. One of the hidden uses of makeup. Seduction was just part of it, which also connects in through sex magic. You see this imitation pattern throughout history, and even the Hindu gods' faces, and many cultures the gods or faces depicted like this. You see in the Bible how Jezebel used makeup. And there's even modern theories about cosmetics about how it's a form of mind control, how it goes into the brain and puts women in a cycle where they have to keep spending money on something that's actually destroying their skin, and they have to keep doing it over and over to feel like they need to keep up, and how the word glamour itself is tied into witchcraft. So this makeup, possession, clown connection all ties into what Azazel taught men. Video plug on my page about Azazel. Also, the modern origin of the clown goes back to Egypt. So does the concept of the Jed pillar and the modern Jedi and Star Wars concepts and the Force. This flows perfectly into the Star Wars demon thread. Aside from characters also with this same face appearance, you do some research and find how there's actual demon connections to these characters, such as Yoda and Darth Maul. Yoda was said to be based off of a demon summoned by Freemasons, supposedly. And check out what this African tribe leader, Credo Mutwa, has to say about Darth Maul and these beings.
And what surprises me is this. Some film producers, like the producers who make the film Star Wars, often show creatures in their films which actually exist, which even the most uneducated of Africans who knows this Chitauli can identify. For example, in the new Star Wars film, there is a creature who amazes me called Darth Maul. That is exactly what the Chitauli look like. I just wonder, where these film producers?
Interesting thread about the cult of Osiris and the Jet Pillar, which looks kind of like the Jedi lightsaber handle. You'll notice how there was a Koreshian false messianic movement that was a cult. And then later a guy named David Koresh who also used this word Koresh. Doing some quick research, you'll find this word Koresh is based off of the word Cyrus, which I'm speculating ties into Osiris, both having to do with the sun in etymology. The Koreshians were even expecting Cyrus T, their leader, to resurrect, Osiris style. And speaking of the Force, many of the ancient Egyptians believed we lived in a Matrix-type simulation, a simulated interactive environment that you could manipulate and control. So the concept of the Force and all this comes from ancient Egyptian stuff, the net, which ties into netters, nature spirits, and other connections you'll see, including this whole concept of a net and how it ties in with the internet and web, and how both nets and webs are used to catch something. Wonder what they're trying to catch or trap. Hope it's not you. I also wonder if demons or supernatural things are related to things like foreign accent syndrome. Is there a spiritual phenomena element? Example, one lady born and raised in Texas her whole life in her 30s had jaw surgery and woke up with a perfect English accent like she's from England. And this has happened in many cases. And also weird things with heart transplants and personality changes, and other weird things that maybe science can't explain. What does this have to do with consciousness transfers, the same concepts that they wanted to mummify bodies for the pharaohs to then transfer their consciousness, which you even see things like cryo-encrypted Walt Disney having the same idea, and this whole resurrection of Osiris plan I'm going to re-bring up, which ties into CERN, future deep dive. Either way, with all this mystery and power, remember God has the ultimate power. He had the oldest man outrunning the fastest horses in the world. Plus Elijah's whole life was just straight up fascinating. Aside from outrunning a chariot, he was taken to heaven in one, frequently did miracles, resurrected the dead, frequently teleported and translated, just like Philip in the New Testament was one time, which is the thing. And apparently he was a warrior who the prophets of Baal got just completely slumped by, 850 of them. He prayed to make it rain and many other miracles. And I'm speculating that his power, obviously coming from God, but also coming from the 40-day fast that only mentioned him, Moses, and Jesus did, all three of them having the most supernatural power. Future deep dive on fasting. Speaking of Elijah outrunning the chariots, and that being the origin of this word, I'm going to wish you Godspeed.
And that's a wrap. Hope you enjoyed tonight's rabbit hole. If you haven't already, please take a second
just to smash that like, subscribe, ring that notification bell,
just to make sure the algorithm knows what's up. So what we gonna do, y'all? That's right. Run these numbers up. Thanks again. Until next time.